If you have HoneyBook set up, but you're not using it to its full potential, or maybe you're already paying for the program and just thinking, is this actually working for me because I don't feel like I use all the features? I definitely want you to check this video out. Today, I have a guest on who's going to be walking you through some basic workflows and automations that you can set up in HoneyBook as an event planner, wedding planner, party planner. Basically, if you're in the event space, this video is for you. And the great thing is she's not only just telling you what automations you should have or what workflows you should have set up, she also takes you a little bit behind the scene and gives you a peek into some of her client accounts, which is amazing. And here's the thing. Truly, the reason why this is so important is because you spend so much time when you don't have automations and workflow in place that you spend so much time doing admin tasks and using so much of it, sending emails and doing a lot of repetitive work. Just think about the last time you thought about, did I send that client this follow-up? So imagine if you have the power to take back a lot of your time by just using workflows and automations. It will save you having to work a lot on the day-to-day and focus on the things that you do best, which is planning your clients' amazing events and also some revenue generating events like booking more clients that will bring revenue into your business. So I won't hold you any longer. Let's dive in.
Hi everyone, my name is Kaitlyn Blair and I am a system specialist for wedding professionals. So I mainly specialize in HoneyBook and Dubsado, and I teach you how you can use the systems. I set it up for you. That includes templates, workflows, contracts, invoices, things that you may not have realized that you can use and you're already paying for it. Today, we are going to be talking about the workflows that you can be using in your event planning business. Let's get into that. Before we start talking about the workflows you can be using, let's first define what a workflow is. A workflow is basically a set of steps to help you complete a process. Let's think of it as maybe your morning routine or something. First step, you get out of bed. Second step, you walk to the bathroom. Third step, maybe you go to the bathroom, or you brush your teeth and then you brush your hair, maybe take a shower, maybe you work out. Whatever that is, you maybe classify that as your morning routine. That could be a workflow, a set of steps to help you complete something. So the same thing can happen with your business. There are certain steps that you need to take when you are talking with a new client, or the set of steps that you take to make sure that they sign the contract, or to make sure that you deliver a testimonial. All of those are workflows. So let's talk about the specific ones that you could be using for your business and those steps that you should take. Let's talk about the 4 main workflows that you can be using in your business. So the first one is the inquiry workflow. This is basically the set of steps that you take when the moment you hear a client is interested in your event planning services. What do you do? How do you make sure that you schedule a consultation call? Things like that. That's the inquiry workflow. The second one is the onboarding workflow. Sending them the proposal to, maybe you have some sort of next steps or things that you can communicate with your clients so they know what to expect from you while working together. That's the onboarding. The next is active. After they have been onboarded, they know how to communicate with you. They have those expectations to basically the day before the event. That's the active. And then after that is the fourth one, the offboarding workflow. This is usually you'll send a testimonial request. You may have maybe anniversary emails, things like that. So that workflow and making sure that everything is complete, everything's done, and then you can check them off at the complete stage in HoneyBook. Now that we know the workflows that we're going to be talking about, let's dive into things that you should have for your inquiry workflow. Let's first talk about what kind of just the overall things that you'll need, and then I'll show you a sneak peek of what that will look like in HoneyBook. First thing that you're going to need is a contact form or a lead form. This will basically gather all that client information. So it's in HoneyBook. Then maybe you could trigger automations. It just helps you organize things. You don't have to add it later. And then the next thing that you'll need are email templates. This could be scheduling a call, or like an invitation to schedule a call, a consultation call, or maybe you're not available for their event, so you can have that email template, or maybe they're just not a fit at all. Maybe you're out of budget, and so just having some sort of template like that can be super helpful. The next thing is an automation for all of that. So the important thing, especially for the inquiry workflow, is to respond as soon as you can to their inquiry. I know a lot of people are hesitant around sending email templates like straight out of an automation. What you can do is have an automatic response that is something like, hey, thanks for reaching out. We have your information. You can expect a response from us within 24 to 48 hours or like working business hours, something like that. Or if you want, you can be straight off the bat and say something like, hey, it's great to meet you and let's schedule a call. So then they have that right away. You can get creative on how you have this. So I have a freebie if you want that has all of the exact email templates that you can have in all of your workflows. So that will be in the description below. Feel free to check that out. But now that we kind of have the basis of the inquiry workflows, let's see what that's like in HoneyBook. Okay, so for the inquiry automation, this is what it would look like if you had maybe an older account, because HoneyBook is rolling out these new conditional automations. So as you can see, the first thing that's triggered is an inquiry response. So this is basically like, hey, thanks for contacting us. We will be in touch within 24 hours. And then after that, a task will be automatically created telling you you need to send an email inviting them to schedule a call, or, hey, you're actually not available. You need to send this not available email. And then after that, you can schedule follow-up emails. And as you can see, this says wait for my approval and then send. So you can always not send a follow-up email because that would be really awkward if you are asking someone to schedule a call when they've already booked you. So automations are great. Don't be afraid of them. They always have the wait for my approval feature. I always encourage my clients to still try automations. Even if you're nervous, still use the wait for my approval feature. So that's this example. Let me show you what it would look like for an account with the conditional automations. This is what the conditional automations will look like, and they're different. As you can see from before, they're different looking, but it's the same premise. You're still going to like maybe wait for a minute and then send an email saying, hey, we'll get back to you within 24 hours. And then you can create a task being like, hey, literally the same thing as before, but just in like a different format. So the task is send the scheduling email or send the available email. And then this is where you can get cool and like map it out a little bit, but just kind of stay right here so it doesn't get too overwhelming. And then you can create these conditions where if they haven't scheduled within a day, then you can send follow-up email. And if they have, then it will just end. And then you kind of just keep going and keep mapping it out with however many you want. And because it is conditional, you don't need the wait for my approval and then send, because you already know that they haven't scheduled the session. So that just adds an extra step for you to go in and then approve it and then send it. And it can be a lot. So with this, you don't have to touch anything. It will automatically remind them if they haven't scheduled that session with you. Conditional automations are great. A bit more confusing, but there's a lot of stuff you can do with it. They want to move forward with you. What do you do? So this is called the onboarding workflow. So this is basically sending them a proposal and getting that contract signed. What are the steps to make that happen? First, you are going to want a proposal template. You can find these in the template gallery in HoneyBook. They are included with your HoneyBook plan. If you don't have a HoneyBook account, I have a 30% off discount in the description below. It's 30% off your first month or first year. And all these templates are included. And it's important to understand that with HoneyBook, a proposal is something that includes a contract and an invoice. If it's just a description of your services, that's technically not a proposal template or a proposal. So just keep that in mind when you are creating your proposal template. And you'll also want a proposal delivery email template. So this basically is like, hey, it was so good talking with you and learning about your needs. Here's a proposal with your specific needs. It includes an invoice to pay your deposit and a contract to sign. And then once that's complete, I will be in contact with the next steps. With that, you can always include a next step, maybe like a questionnaire, gathering information for what they need about their specifics after the contract is signed. You can create that questionnaire template also in the template gallery. And maybe you don't want to do that. Maybe you can just create an email template that is like, hey, thanks for signing the contract. You're officially a client. Woo! Here are my office hours. They're Monday through Thursday because on Fridays I'm usually off at events, or maybe they're like Tuesdays through Thursdays, Tuesday through Fridays, whatever. Make sure that you communicate your office hours and your time zone too, because I personally am on the East Coast. And so sometimes I want to make sure that I am not reaching out to someone at 4 in the morning if they're in Pacific time zone. I include the kind of the next steps after the proposal is signed into the onboarding workflow, because you're giving them information about how you're working. You're still gathering information about the project. That's the onboarding workflow. So now let me show you what that could look like in an automation. Let's head over the onboarding workflow. This is again an example of the not conditional automations, as you can see. And this is for after you've sent them a proposal, you have gone in and manually sent the proposal, or you've edited the proposal template that you have, and then you use that proposal delivery email template and you've customized it and you sent it. Now, after you send it, you've applied an automation, and this is the automation that you can apply. This is just an example. These are basically just follow-up emails telling the client, hey, are we still good? And then I always like to have the last one being some sort of like, hey, actually, we've decided to go in a different direction, or we're now booked, something like that. And it doesn't have to be one day. It could be a week. It could be 3 days, whatever. Just because to me, that could be a red flag in a client if they haven't moved forward with you within like 3 weeks or 3 days or however you want to do it. And so you may not even want to work with them in general. That is just my personal preference. You can do whatever. And then this, I always like to have it be after the first payment or after the deposit. And then you can send them the onboarding packet, just the general information that your client should know while working with you. And this can include some questions that they should answer, or link to schedule a visionary call, something like that. But some sort of next steps, even if it's just an email, something along those lines. And it's pretty simple. And again, as you can see, wait for my approval and then, so nothing will automatically go out. It will just generate one day after. Let's go see what that looks like for the conditional automations. Okay, so the conditional automations require a bit more creativity when it comes to applying the automation, because at least as of now, as of late 2024, with these HoneyBook automations, you can't go in and manually apply it like you used to. So in order to actually use the automation, you need to have triggers and things like that. So for this automation, the just typical onboarding one, I have this trigger being once that consultation call ends, then a proposal will generate. And of course, it says require approval for that to send, so it doesn't just send a templated proposal to my client. And then we wait for a day, and then if the payment has been made, then we'll send them the onboarding packet, and then if it hasn't, then we are going to send them the follow-up email. And then it just kind of repeats and repeats. Just same premise, little different execution, because you have to kind of work around what they're offering right now. So it can be a bit confusing, but it's so helpful. So please don't let it scare you. Just play around with it. Create test projects to test it out. So this is the onboarding for conditional automations. Okay, so you've got a new client officially. They've signed the contract. They've paid the deposit. Now what? So this is called the active workflow. And this is something, if you utilize this, it can really take your client's experience with you to the next level. So I always suggest having some sort of check-in emails with the client so they know that you're doing work. They've signed a contract and then they've just ghosted me. You don't want that. So maybe having like a 9-month and then a 6-month, 3-month, 1 month, and then a 1 week, or some sort of variation of that. In those check-in email templates, you can have, this is what we did previously in the previous months. This is what we plan on doing in the next 3 months. Let me know if you have any questions or if you want us to focus on other things, just so you guys are always on the same page. And maybe if you want, you can add in like, please schedule a visionary call so we can make sure we're on the same page with your event. Or even maybe you could throw in another questionnaire in those check-in email templates. Whatever you would like to do, just make sure that the client doesn't feel like you're ghosting them. So that's very important. And let me show you what that could look like in an automation. All right, this is the check-in automation. This is just an example. As you can see, it's 3 months, 2 months, 1 month, and then 1 week. Emails are like, this is what we did last month. This is what we're going to do the next month. And then the 1 week email is basically like, hey, super excited to see you next week. We'll be there at this time, like we talked about, in case the client wants to say, like, actually, can we move it up to 10 a.m. instead of 9 a.m. or just something like that. Last minute things. You can have as many check-in emails, and again, wait for my approval and then send. So you can always skip it. You can do whatever. You don't have to send it, but it's good to have at least built into the automation, and then you can customize the template, approve it, and send it. It's pretty simple. You just need to have those templates in place to create this automation and then apply it. The check-in automation, this is, as of now, late 2024, one of the only ways that you can apply this automation to your project with the conditional automations. It can be a little overwhelming when you just get a new client, because this trigger is 9 months before the project date. Whether a new client just came in and their project is 12 months from now, it's fine. But if you have a client that's their event is 6 months from now, these two will generate automatically. So you can either just skip it, you can delete that task, you can work around it, but it will stay in your task area no matter if they have signed with you or not. So keep that in mind. I know that's a little confusing, but as always, these emails have the require your approval before sending. So it's not a big deal to the client. It takes a little bit more getting used to with these types of automations as opposed to the old ones. But it's the same premise. 9 months before the project, you'll send a check-in, and then 6 months, and then 3 months. So this is just an example of what that automation could look like. The event was great. It was a smash. Everybody loved it. What do you do now? So this is the offboarding workflow. This is basically the last steps that you'll have with your client, and kind of just tying the bow on the whole event process. So what you'll need for this, the basis, is a testimonial request, some sort of way to gather a testimonial, whether that is a Google business link or a testimonial questionnaire that you can get in the HoneyBook template gallery for free, some sort of way to gather that information, and then an email that goes along with it, just being like, hey, it was so great working with you. You were an amazing client. It was so fun doing this, this, this. It's always great to personalize it, so it doesn't feel like a template, and then include either the Google business link or the questionnaire there. And then something that I like to suggest to add a little extra spice is anniversary emails, or some sort of like, hey, it's been 6 months since your event. I'm thinking of you. I loved this about the event. It's still in my mind. Thanks for being an amazing client. That's it. And then a year email, just like, hey, it's been a year. How are things? Is there any way I can help you? And then doing this not only makes the client feel loved and cared for, but you may get more business that way, because they may be like, hey, actually, yeah, I have this event coming up, or my friend actually is having a baby shower. Can you plan that? Those types of things. I love sending anniversary emails after that. And let's go see what that would look like in a HoneyBook automation. This is just a general anniversary follow-up automation. And as you can see, it's 3 months, 6 months, 1 year. You can do 6 months, 1 year. You can do just 1 year or not at all. But I always like having some sort of, hey, how are you doing? It's been a while. I loved this about your event, and I can't stop thinking about it. And again, wait for my approval, and then wait for my approval, and then. And this is just an example. So let's see what that looks like for conditional. The conditional automation for your anniversary emails or your offboarding workflow. And this is pretty simple compared to the other ones, because this trigger is just when you move your project to the completed stage. So once you do that, then 3 months later, an email will generate and you can approve it and it'll send. It's pretty simple, but I know that conditional automations can be confusing, especially when you have to get creative on how you can apply it. So if you have any questions about it, you can always email me, hello@virtuallyvital.co. We can talk about how I can help you understand it, because you deserve to use HoneyBook to its fullest potential because you're paying for it. And it's an amazing tool. So it's really important that you understand how you can use it. And I have a list of the templates. I mentioned it earlier, but I have a list of about 20 email templates that I recommend to my clients. It's free and you can check that out in the description. This automation is much simpler than the previous ones. Okay, so those are the 4 main workflows that I always recommend to my clients. You can personalize it, you can customize it, whatever to make it personal to you and your services and your packages, but start with those 4. You can always add more workflows later. Remember, a workflow is just a series of steps to get you through a process. And if you have any questions about those, you are more than welcome to email me, hello@virtuallyvital.co. You can follow along with me on Instagram at virtuallyvitalva, and I'm pretty active there. You can DM me if you'd like. And I post all things about workflows and automations and templates and HoneyBook and Dubsado. And if you need any help with your HoneyBook account, I offer audits where I deliver a report of your account and how you can optimize it. I also offer VIP days where if you know the exact templates and automations or emails, whatever you need, we can get it done in a day for you. Or if you completely want a whole HoneyBook or Dubsado setup, I offer that as well. And I will set everything up and optimize it and everything for you. So if you're interested in that, you can also email me, hello@virtuallyvital.co. And I have the HoneyBook discount below for 30% off your first month or year. And again, if you want those free email templates that you should be using in your workflows, the exact email templates you should use, that is in the description as well. And I hope this was helpful, and I will see you around.